call the member for Melbourne Port.
Seconded, Deputy Speaker, and I congratulate the member for Fadden on moving this resolution. The issue of Israel defending its citizens against terrorist attacks by organisations or individuals would seem to be self-evidently sensible, but of course it affects safety of people around the world, because of course we all know that defending our populations against terrorism is indivisible in these days. The jihadist threat that is around the world doesn't exist just in Marseille or in parts of Marawi in the Philippines. It exists all over the world, and in order to confront this, we need to confront it wherever it exists. And of course, from the point of view of equality and fairness, if there are a third of car rammings in the world in Israel, we need to know this. It's a shame we don't, but the pioneering of jihadist violence against publics around the world often begins in Israel. What happens there is of great relevance all around the world. We've seen the Palestinian Authority continue through the period of where there should have been negotiations over the last 10 years of inciting its population. Most people don't understand what that means. These jihadist terrorists are not unique in their methods. The car rammings, the stabbings, etc. that we've seen. Saw a terrible one recently where at a Sabbath Friday evening meal an 18-year-old terrorist came into the person's house who was having a ceremony for the welcoming of their grandson and stabbed 3 of the family to death. The odious thing about this, as the member for Fadden pointed out, was that the Palestinian Authority pays incentives, usually from international relief funds that they get to people and their families who are involved in these things. If they get killed, the family gets the pension. If not, they do. It's estimated that a third of the PA's budget is spent on these odious pensions to terrorists or their families. And of course this only encourages, incentivises people to do these kind of things. It's an absolute shame. Now, this resolution also has an important point about acknowledging the Jewish connection with the holy sites in Jerusalem and elsewhere in Israel. Recently, UNESCO, to its eternal shame, classified the old city of Jerusalem as a Muslim site only. The great city of Jerusalem, we have to respect all of the great Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. But history doesn't change because of some a bunch of countries that make these ridiculous decisions in Geneva. The Temple Mount, Jerusalem, existed 600 years before the forming of Islam. So it's absolutely, self-evidently crazy for UNESCO to decree a city where the Christianity and Judaism have as their holy city, a solely Islamic city, without acknowledging that the affinity with that place existed long before those days. Let me conclude with some points on the BDS. The founder of the BDS, Omar Barghouti, makes it very clear that the aim of this program is not to change this or that Israeli policy. He makes it clear that the aim of the BDS is to eliminate Israel from the river to the sea, as the extremists say. So this is not only aesthetically revolting and politically revolting. We have in the leaflets of this BDS movement that Estee Lauder or Vidal Sassoon should be boycotted. What do Estee Lauder and Vidal Sassoon have in common with a political campaign against Israel? They don't. They're Jewish firms that are international. Both happen to be in the cosmetic area. It is outrageous. It's a perpetuation of the 1930s for this movement to continue that kind of behaviour. And I pay tribute to some of my colleagues, Wayne Swan, Kevin Rudd, Premier Andrews, David Feeney, who all joined me at anti-BDS sit-ins at chocolate shops all around Australia in
Members' time
Max
has
Brenner.
expired. The question is